Greetings, YouTube. Today we'll be reviewing the Monster Geographica Underground from Expeditious Retreat Press. And the blurb in the back says, 200 monsters from the depths of the earth, compiled from over a dozen sources, including 9092 classic 3.0 monsters, updated for a 3.5 game. And I think, did this come out before the new versions of the monster manuals when they went from 3.0 to 3.5? I'm not. So the little blurb here in the introduction. So short of an introduction announcement for 4.0, we hope you enjoy Monster Graphica Underground and all the Monster Geographica books for a long time. That's kind of funny. Now, what's interesting with this book is that it is focused on nothing but underground monsters, which is cool. But they've arranged this by challenge rating. So it starts out, well, there is an alphabetical order in the beginning, which is nice. But it starts out with 1/4. And so the top of the page says 1/4. That's not the chapter, that's the CR rating. And as the book goes forward, each page has the challenge rating of the monster. So if a GM wants to look something up quickly by challenge rating, they're running a 6-level group, and they're on a spot, they're in an underground area. Whoop. Nope. Fall. Hey, I got something called the Jelly Hive. It's 5 CR, challenge rating of 5. Meh, I can do a large or a huge. Bingo, done. So you could very simply flip through things. Now, this book is small. It's digest size, not particularly thick. There are no illustrations in this book at all, so that saves on a lot of printing and a lot of costs for the publisher of this book. It obviously is D20 compatible, which is my preferred, and being 3.5, you could use it in a 3.5 game, or if you wanted to, you could use it in a Pathfinder game, though the challenge rating maybe had to be bumped up slightly for that game, or you just use a monster that's different challenge rating, and having them listed by that is handy. So, is it useful? Yes, if you like monster books, and lots of us like monster books, this is full of monster books, and it's at the time this was published, that you may not have had a source for underground monsters that had been converted from 3.0 to 3.5. Of course, that's not really an issue now. 3.5 is now old hat, where people are currently playing 5.0. And I picked this up in a book sale wreckage cheap. It's like, this is the bag it came in. NM, near mint. It is, in fact, near mint. It was used. And I picked it up dirt cheap, like, I don't know, 50 cents, $1, something like that. So it was well worth my time. One of the things I was struck with, however, and this is something that I've encountered before, so it's not problematic to this book, is that there are just way too many sentient and sapient races in the underworld. There's way too many sapient races on the surface of most fantasy settings. There are just too many races, flat out. There's too many things that think and plan and plot. The world would be much different than it is presented in a fantasy setting. And we just kind of all hand-wave that and we move on, because we like having sentient and sapient opponents and allies. But in the underground setting, it becomes more problematic because the underground world is so much more sparsely populated with the stuff of life. Now, our underground world, in the real world, is very sparsely populated. The underground cave systems that we've found with life in them are very simple. There are very few things bigger than a spider living in a underground setting like that. Crabs and things and crawfish, those are really advanced life forms in underground ecosystems. And you can say, well, magic supports a lot of this, and you're right. Magic can, again, that's a decent hand-wavy kind of thing. But I don't think it hand-waves enough. It doesn't have the same ability to hand-wave under the ground as it does on the surface, because there is no sun. Now, you could argue that maybe in some of the big caverns there is something equivalent to a sun, and well, I could see there being one large cavern system like that. I would have a hard time buying if there were multiples of them. But that would be cool to have one large cavern system beneath the earth, that the Underdark being one large structure. And some of the offshoots being more of the traditional D&D underground, Underdark, where there isn't a light source that's providing energy, where it's a lot of it's the base life forms are feeding off pure magic, and then they feed the life forms above that. So you end up with a layer of plants, very simple layer of plants, and chimeras, fusions of plants and animals, that then support the entire structure above that, which is all the animals from insects on up to the numerous humanoid races. And there are way too many sapient races in the Underdark. There's just huge numbers of them. And that this book, since it concentrated itself on the Underdark, on the underground ecosystems, really brought that to focus for me. There's just too many sapient races. I really think if you limit your surface world to a set number of races, and I did a series of videos at one time called the 12 races, which I never actually finished, and I apologize for that. And if that was 12 surface races, and those are the only surface races you're going to have, and there would be then playable races, then there would be some things like dragons and such, which are still sapient but non-humanoid. And of course then you get into some of the monster type sapients and sentients, things like that. That's still a lot of brain power up on the surface. And if you have that on the surface, I think you need to have like a quarter of that, a third to a quarter of that number of races under the earth. So if you've got 12 humanoid races on the surface of your game campaign setting, I really think you need to have 3 or 4 races under the earth, and that's it. Now, I'm not talking about dwarves, because dwarves are only semi-under. If you're going to have a full-fledged dwarven race, then you're going to have one of them. And you're going to have one underground elven race. And that's going to leave you with one more humanoid race left. Now, that's really, to my mind, the only sensible way to do it. The other things like, is it the kowtow? Kowtoa? Oh, I can't remember. The fish people that live in the ocean. That's a different environment, which is much richer in life than is the Underdark. So I really think you need to have a limitation on these things. Though you could still have the Mind Flayers as the top predator, or the Aboleth as the enemies of the Mind Flayers, both competing for brains in different ways. And I do love me some Aboleth. This is such an awesome race of creatures. So if you like the D20 system, and 3.5 in particular, and you like the Underworld, this is a book that you may want to look up. I don't know if it's still available. It's probably not in print anymore, though you might be able to find PDF copies of it somewhere. I'm not positive. I haven't bothered to look. I think Expeditious Retreat Press is still in existence, though again I am not 100% sure. I have not gone out and seen any of their new stuff, that I haven't really looked for it either. So there, maybe you can find something on RPG now, I don't know. But it's a good book. I thought it was useful. And again, if you like monsters and you have a need for something underground and you like having a book set up so the challenge rating is very easy to find, this may be the book for you.